demanded that we pay them just shy of £500, which, oh no, probably doesn't sound like a lot of money to... Sorry. I don't have that money.
Oh hey, I didn't see you come in there. Welcome back to another video. Drama in the community. So as you guys, some of you saw who have been following this story over the last couple of days, photographer Martin McNeil has posted a video as of October 7th explaining his side of the story and where he goes from here. Now in Martin's video, he does touch base on a lot of legality, a lot of legal jargon, if you will. And there's a lot to unpack here. One thing to take away from it, and this isn't necessarily a knock against Martin, but from an outsider looking in, at least how I'm interpreting it, you know, it sounds like this guy at one point was obviously a successful photographer. You know, he's got some of his photos, or a photo, published in the New York Times. Sounds like he may have been doing photography in and around the time social media began to blow up, maybe before. I don't know the exact timeline. And I don't know if he's still doing photography, but I do find it, maybe I shouldn't say odd, but the timing, you know, now he's, I don't know how old the guy is. He must be in his late 30s, early 40s. He's studying law, and he's a 4-year law student. And he seems to know a lot of the ins and outs pertaining not only to law, but specifically DMCA takedowns and, you know, copyright infringement and fair use. So, you know, is he studying law because he wants to know the ins and outs of how to be able to be more litigious? You know, as we live in the digital era, social media, a lot of, you know, people that are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube might be using his works, and he's trying to understand the ins and outs of the legality of it so that he can take action. And maybe instead of focusing on being a photographer, he can just focus on recouping maybe potential income that is being lost because others are using his work without his permission. Again, that's not a knock on him. Maybe I'm off base saying that, but that's kind of how it looks to me, because when you look at his Twitter timeline, he even tweeted out to somebody that works at Instagram, I believe, and he said something to the effect of, look, me and you have to have a sit-down discussion. Me and you have to talk about this. We need to discuss, you know, how DMCA, you know, works and all the rest of it. So this guy seems to be on social media, and I imagine he's scrubbing, you know, various platforms looking for channels that are using his body of work. Again, that's just how I interpreted it. Not a knock against Martin. I suppose if I was a self-employed freelance photographer myself, I don't know if he was self-employed, I would probably be maybe doing the same thing. I don't know. That being said, Martin put out this video, you know, going into more detail with regards to the situation at hand. And I absolutely think that Martin is in the right. If you watch his video, it all makes sense. He's saying what we've been saying all along. You know, these guys, Lady Decade and Top Hat Gaming Man, used his photo without his consent. And the thing is a lot of channels out there use a lot of photos and videos without getting consent. But nobody ever goes after these channels because usually the owners of the material would never even know that our channels exist, or even be able to check in to see if a channel is using a said photo or a video clip, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's odd that Martin, as far as I'm aware, maybe I could be wrong. I don't think he's a gamer. I don't think he has anything to do with the gaming community. So how on earth he found out that his photo was being used in this video from Top Hat Gaming Man? Who fucking knows? Maybe somebody tipped him off. Who fucking knows? But Top Hat Gaming Man and Lady Decade ran into, the worst trifecta imaginable. A guy that's a photographer who is now studying law and knows the ins and outs of copyright infringement, and has the photo that they used in their video. It's the worst case scenario. So now it sounds like he may be exploring defamation of character, which I totally get. The way that she portrayed Martin in her "I'm Very Scared" video, it was pretty obvious to everyone who had watched that video who the photographer was in question, because all you had to do was find out what photo it was that they used and look it up on the internet, and it comes right up on Google, New York Times, and has his information. So I think it's like under Getty Images. So the other twist to this story is, and I don't like to talk about this guy on the channel, but Tipster News continues to simp for Lady Decade. Now, he put out a series of tweets, I think it was yesterday, maybe it was last night. It was like 3 or 4 tweets, continuing to run to his damsel in distress. And we all know, the Quartering Tipster and even Review Tech USA, they all have bad takes on this story. They're all running to Lady Decade for whatever reason, God only knows. Maybe it's because they do the same thing in their videos. Maybe it's for clickbait attention. Who fucking knows? But what I was going to do today was I was going to actually go over those tweets from Tipster. But before I hit record on the camera here, I went back to my phone to pull up those tweets. And now it would seem as though Tipster has now deleted his tweets. I don't fucking know why. Maybe he's going to retract his statement. Maybe Tipster's going to put out a video admitting that he's in the wrong here. But yeah, Tipster deleted his fucking tweets, so I can't even go back and tell you what it was that he was saying. But it was definitely him running to his damsel in distress. Terrible take, terrible fucking take. And not only that, as you recall, the "I'm Very Scared" video from Lady Decade. I don't have the money. We don't have the money. So this is where me and my partner in crime, MS Marceau, disagree. Because MS Marceau is like, well, they absolutely have the money. They have a second home in Greece. She's on vacation. Look at all those games behind her. But what I was trying to explain to MS Marceau is you can't necessarily look at materialistic items such as the ones I just mentioned and assume that someone's not in debt, because it's very easy for some, at least, to be able to go down to the bank and borrow 50 grand, 100 grand, and just fucking splurge, right? So we really don't know their financial situation. Who the fuck knows? Maybe they have lots of money. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're in a lot of debt. Who fucking knows? But when you watched Lady Decade's video, she mentioned about how we don't have the money. And you watch Martin's video, and you can clearly see that the legal representative, legal counsel, legal aid, if you will, offered Martin his $470, which ended up going into Martin's bank account without his consent. So obviously, Lady Decade and Top Hat Gaming Man retained legal representation, right? And then that money comes from somewhere. They're going to have to pay for that money, whether it be directly to Martin or to pay back to the legal representative, because he sent Martin the $470. So, here we have Lady Decade and Top Hat Gaming Man acting like, they're not in the wrong. But then you see behind the scenes, they tried to settle it with Martin. So obviously they acknowledged that they were in the wrong, and their legal rep tried to strong arm Martin into a full and final agreement, and Martin didn't take the bait. So I told Martin, I said to him in his comment section, I said, going forward, if you're into a situation like this, you might want to hold off on providing your banking info until you've signed off on a full and final, because the legal rep for Top Hat, Gaming Man, and Lady Decade, I presume, deposited the funds directly into Martin's bank account without Martin's disclosure. He did not agree to the terms, but Martin was saying over in his country, when you're in a situation like this, and you need to provide identification to confirm it is who you say you are, the best way to do that is to provide your banking details. I have a hard time wrapping my head around that. You don't just give out your banking info. You don't. But maybe things are different over in the UK. Over here, it would be a different process altogether. I presume you would get a legal rep, right, who would represent you, and they would reach out to the other legal team, right, and they would do things back and forth. And usually, not always, but usually it's a check, it's a physical check you would get in the mail, but only after you signed off on a full and final agreement. And this was not the case. And Martin even said in his video over in the UK, I guess for small claims, in his country, it is preferred that the two parties can try to figure things out amicably without getting legal involved. So he did allude to that, but then you have this legal rep that said, hey, give me your banking information. I'm going to try to settle things on my end with Lady Decade and Top Hat Gaming Man. And Martin was like, sure, here's my banking info. And then the next thing you know, there was $470 in Martin's bank account. So yeah, sketchy all around. But I just wanted to sort of more or less talk about Tipster because, yeah, he fucking deleted his tweets. Unfucking believable. So that's where we're at with this fucking scandal. Yes, I do think I know Martin is in the right, and they shouldn't have used his photo without his consent. And I do understand what Martin is saying with regards to how, Google would not necessarily want to get involved with this ongoing matter because it's how he coined it, vicarious liability, and I totally understand that absolutely. When you have the copyright takedown option in YouTube, it is there, but I imagine there's it's kind of gray and there's other things involved as well, right? So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your weekend. Take care. Hey, how's it going, guys? Just a quick editor's note here. When I shot this video, I pulled up a thread on Twitter and it had showed tweet removed by user. I was looking at the wrong thread. Obviously, as far as I'm aware, that wasn't pertaining to a Tipster tweet. So I spoke out of text, and I do apologize to Tipster for that if he's actually watching this. Looks like Tipster did not delete his tweets, and it was an oversight on my end, and that's why I tried to do my best to correct it in this video. The video was already shot, and I wanted to keep it in its original format, but I wanted to include the overlays just to clarify things. So no, Tipster did not delete his tweet. That was an oversight on my end. I do apologize for that. But at the end of the day, I still think Tipster had a real bad take on this, continues to have a real bad take on this situation. So this is a developing story. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for me. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.